Welcome back to Wandering into Wellness. Here's our top tips for
menstrual health.
Number 1, shatavari. Ooh, exotic Indian herb.
Yeah, I love shatavari.
Of course you do.
Absolute favourite one.
Because you love balance, and shatavari is balancing. If you've got periods that are too frequent, infrequent, erratic, it's the one, right?
Yeah, it is. It's such a simple one to take as well. So it comes in pill form, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's Indian asparagus, would you believe? Available. I think the only one around is Pukka herbs, maybe one other. But yeah, it's a beautiful herb to help to soften out erratic cycles. Imagine the sea is choppy and upsy downy and you can't see a rhythm in it, and then it starts to soften into nice waves that we can predict and we can work our month around.
Yeah.
Which brings us around to healthy period practices.
Healthy period practices, yeah. And this is really my area because it's what I'm always talking about all the time. And honestly, I can't recommend for women enough to understand their cycle. And I don't mean even understanding when is the estrogen, when is the progesterone, more understanding what does it mean to you to be in the different stages of your cycle. So we always talk about the cycle in spring, summer, winter, autumn. And the major ones really to know are the summer, which is your ovulation phase. And at this time you can schedule your month to be I'm going to be all things to all people. I'm going to have lots of parties, I'm going to go visit my friends, I can maybe load up my work a bit more, and also in my physical practices, so my workouts, they can be stronger, they can be more energizing, they can be kind of pushing you a little bit more and challenging you, hike a mountain.
So more mid-cycle, more social, more physical, more go do.
More.
Yeah, just more. You're more things to more people.
All the things.
And yourself.
Which is what we are in summer, right? We're out all the time, we stay out till late, la la la. And then when it comes to our bleeding phase, that's our winter, and that's when we want to hibernate. It's the same as now. We want to hibernate, we want to turn inwards, we want to listen to our dreams, we want to spend time journaling, and we want to notice what's coming up for us to let go of, because that's what the bleeding phase is. It's our letting go. And in that time, we want to go to bed a little bit earlier, we want to do much more restful practices. Usually we wouldn't recommend exercising strongly in any way. Gentle walking, dance, tiny bit of yoga, definitely not Ashtanga yoga, no swimming, bathing, all that kind of stuff, just keeping everything really quiet and really gentle. And you'll notice that if you live within that cycle a little bit more, you start to schedule stuff, you'll start to have energy when you need to have energy, and you'll have stores of energy to use in the times when you're a bit more depleted.
Makes sense. Like when we talked to Mantak Chia as well, when he talked about your monthly cycle, he said every month your body thinks it's making a baby. And so if you imagine the end of that, where it sheds that's a really deep emotional thing. So understandably, women's emotions are much more heightened in that moment. Their body's understanding, I'm not having a baby, I'm shedding this thing. And then very suddenly, new dawn, peaks again. Anyway,
and
go on.
Talking of Mantak Chia,
Yeah.
and understanding that the body's trying to make a baby, there's all this energy that's there, this conception energy that's trying to make this baby. And if we don't recycle that energy through the body, we lose it. So one of the ways that we talk about recycling that energy so that we can harvest that sexual energy and harness it for ourselves is breast massage. So I always recommend women all the way through their cycle as a preventative for things like breast tenderness and cramps and that kind of stuff, but also just to help balance everything out is to do breast massage every day. And so you can do 36 massages of the breast outwards and then 36 inwards, and at the end you tweak the nipples 10 times because the nipples are connected to the cervix, and so you're getting that kind of uterine tone, and you'll really notice a huge difference if you practice that for a couple of months.
There you go. Men, I don't have a corollary for that. Next one on our list, magnesium. You think it's boring, but it's not. Because magnesium, my friends, is for everything, including critically for menstrual health, because relaxes smooth muscle, and hence that crampy, awful feeling in the lower back, usually in the lower back, which is your womb cramping. Your womb literally it's tensing as it tries to release, it tries to shed the lining of the uterus, right? And your body is essentially starved of magnesium. So you think about guys running around a football pitch, oh, my leg is cramping. Same thing in your womb. What's great for that? Magnesium. Softens smooth muscle, allows fresh blood flow, generally heals and supports inflammation.
Yeah, and it also helps us to sleep better, right? And that's something that we really need loads of when we have our period. And also I've noticed that if I'm not looking after myself around my period and I have to do a lot of exercise because of my job is exercise, I get a lot of muscle cramps, a lot of muscle fatigue around my period if I'm not amping up my magnesium. So it's really useful. It's just kind of supportive and nourishing all round.
It's literally the all things to all men. Next one, period pants. Pantaloons for your period. Wow, shock. 10 years ago, never heard of them. 5 years ago, never heard of them. 4 years ago, heard of them. Now, everywhere is period pants, right?
It's so true, and there's so many brands. It's so much easier now than when I first started using them, because before it was just like one brand, and that was it, and you couldn't get them when they were in America, and then you started stocking them and you saved us, which was great. But now there are so many different brands. You can really find styles that suit everyone.
Sorry.
Yeah, and they have loads of great give back programs. They're helping to solve period poverty around the world. But the reason that period pants are so good, one, they are convenient. It's just so easy. You just get up in the morning, put them on, take them off in the evening. That's it. Like, you're not having to do lots of complicated things. They're really comfortable. They are also really eco-friendly, really sustainable. Once you've bought your set that lasts your period, and that might be, depending on your period, how long it is, how heavy it is, it might be between 5 and 7 pairs. That's it. You have them for 4 years. So it's not a huge investment, but it's not an investment for the earth either.
And after that, the panties ones fully biodegrade. One tampon, 800 years. One pair of panties, 5 years gone. Disappeared.
That's
nothing.
A huge thing.
Into dust.
But also, it's going to minimize your period symptoms in terms of cramping and soreness, things that can come up in your period, which often are like thrush and cystitis and not so fun things, are because the mucosal membrane gets really dried out when we put things like Tampax in, and they absorb all of the moisture that's there, and we're already dry around that time naturally, inherently, because of the hormones that are happening. And so if we let the blood flow run all the way down the inside of the vagina, it really moisturizes those mucosal membranes. And also, it's not full of all those endocrine disruptors like bleach and all those nasty things that are in the other ones, right?
Big factor. Beyond toxic shock syndrome, there is a lot of underlying endocrine disruption that happens with the repeat use of tampons. And interestingly, a study I was reading about just the other night showed that with one tampon, that they put in an orange dye that's got the same compound that's used in some tampons, some sort of particular dioxin, I think it was, and they put one tampon into a glass of water and they left it there for 4 hours, and the water didn't really become orange colored at all, and they're like, well, maybe this stuff isn't actually leaching into the area of the vagina at all. They put the second one for the same period, and it started to leach out a lot more. They put in the third one and it leached out loads more. There's some sort of osmotic relationship between that specific dioxin that's contained within those tampons and the environment, the watery environment of the vagina, whereby the more you use it, the more repeated use, the more the dioxin leaches. So one tampon, not so bad. Repeated tampon use, which it is, unfortunately, for a few days, right? The more problematic it becomes. And hence those studies haven't shown yet that the dioxins that are in a single tampon are going to cause a problem to a single vagina in a single use.
Yeah, that's kind of gross, isn't it?
Pretty emphatic as well. So next one, starflower oil.
Starflower oil. I always take this, I cycle it on and off, and you always taught me about how cycling stuff is really important. We love cycles.
Yes. Got her on it. Yeah, everyone loves cycles.
But starflower oil is just so good. I really notice a massive difference when I cycle onto it. And I just think that it's a really supportive, natural thing. What would you be, if a woman's coming into you, why would you be recommending starflower specifically for her?
So because starflower is rich in GLA. GLA is gamma-linolenic acid. That is a precursor to anti-inflammatory prostaglandins, which your body produces to neutralize the inflammatory response, which is what you get during PMS, essentially. And so the more anti-inflammatory prostaglandins you produce, the less cramping, the less pain, all that sort of stuff. Everything starts to soften and relax. So that's kind of the magic of starflower. It's very simple, but the big thing is that evening primrose oil is usually extracted to about 10% concentration of GLA, whereas starflower oil is 3 times the concentration. That's why starflower oil is so much better for you. Grow borage in your garden, start to eat those lovely little blue flowers. That borage is starflower. Start to eat those during the summer. They're delicious as well. They're nectar rich. So when you eat the little starflowers, little borage flowers, they're like delicious in a salad. Look beautiful, taste beautiful, good for your periods. Boom.
Very good.
Okay.
Nice.
And what goes in must come out. Where does it come out? Hormones via our liver. So my major recommendation that I like, it's one of my biggest recommendations actually for helping with periods, and with particularly where you have heavy periods, heavy flow, particularly let's say earlier on in your life stage in terms of your cycles, often teenagers and early 20s, where they get like a lot of PMS, a lot of cramps, a lot of mood disruption, really affecting the whole month. Milk thistle, because it helps in managing excreting old hormones, is a really, really big factor. Probably the most single successful herb that I use, which is a real surprise.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I would never have thought of that element of it at all. I would always think of where can I choose the ones that are good for the menstrual cycle? I wouldn't think to be looking in the bigger picture. So that's a really, really nice tip.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so
that's
there are
our
our top tips. Let us know which one you find most useful, and let us know if you try them and what effect they have on you as well. We'll be back really soon for one of our top tips.
Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.
Well done.